Good evening. I was 34 years in the district as a teacher and administrator, and just what I've come across here are just simply, right when I was beginning to retire, is just going, I think I have something that I'd like to share with students and with parents about it, because, man, when you enter middle school, it can be a struggle. It can be difficult. And so I thought I had a message that I could share that would help the confidence of students to understand what they can do right now to be a better fit in middle school. Because I went through the struggle. I was not cool. I was not popular. It was a struggle. It's like when you get to middle school, sometimes it seems like you just fall into this ditch. And you're just scrambling to get out of the ditch, because on the other side of the ditch, that's where the cool people are. That's where the popular people are. And me, I was just one of those strugglers. And if I had known what I know now, middle school would have been a whole lot more successful for me. And what I call this is, if I'm doing this right, the path to being extraordinary. Because we're all just human beings. We're all flesh and blood. But we don't have to be ordinary. And my thought is, if we could teach students how to be extraordinary, then all of a sudden middle school doesn't become a struggle. There's no more ditch, because when you're extraordinary, you're leaping right over that ditch. It doesn't exist anymore. Here's why I think, now to me, for middle school students, life is harder for them right now than any time in the last 50 years. And some people might debate that. And talk, well, what are you talking about? Look at the technology. That didn't exist back then. Technology makes it so much easier to be a student, to look things up, to get answers to things. But here's why I think it's a little bit more difficult. I think there's more stress than ever before for students. More stress. I think that I do know, there are higher school standards than ever before. Not only is there bullying still, unfortunately, now there's cyberbullying, which in my opinion is much worse. Heaven forbid you post something that gets misinterpreted. You'll be the subject of all kinds of retaliation. Community issues. Oh my gosh, look at Florida. Sometimes it seems like we're going backwards in our progress. And of course there's still crime, gangs, drugs, etc. And I'll give you one more example. When I was a student in elementary school and it was time to go to school, and maybe some of you parents as well, I opened the front door and I walked to school. Can parents do that anymore? No, you can't. I pass elementary schools and I see a gigantic line of cars, because you can't allow your kids to walk to school. There's too many sick predators out there. Sometimes it seems like we're going backwards, doesn't it? And we don't have to worry about this really right now, but soon enough, college entrance stress, trying to get into college, harder than ever, more competitive than ever. And then, even if you get in, how do you pay for it? My gosh, that's stress. These are reasons why I think it's harder to be a student now than it has been in the last 50 years. And I put just one final thing on there. Sometimes life isn't fair. Bad things can happen to good people. And we don't deserve that. I didn't do anything, I didn't deserve that. But we know that bad things can happen to good people. And you know what? Students, you might feel that way, but I guarantee it, adults do too. I asked 100 adults this question. If you had the choice to grow up when you did as a teenager, or to grow up in the present time, which would you choose and why? I asked 100 adults that question. How many do you think said they would prefer to grow up as a teenager now? Two. said, because there have been medical improvements that have helped me to become that have dealt with a healthy thing. But 98 of them said, no way. So adults are agreeing, it's tougher. It's a suit of armor, because back in the Middle Ages, if you were a soldier, you had armor to protect you from swords, arrows going into battle. What do students have to protect them when they go to middle school? Because they're going into the battle of school, the battle of life. What's their protection? What's their defense? What are their strengths? Let's hold that thought for a second. At the end of the school year, I'm not sure if elementary schools have it, but middle schools and high schools, at the end of the year, they get a yearbook. You know, it's kind of like everything that has occurred for the whole year. And everybody's picture is in that. Do they have that at elementary schools? Yeah. They do, okay. You know, it's very exciting to get that. It's very exciting to get that yearbook. Because, and when they get it in their hands, what's the first person they look for? Themselves, you bet. I know, I went through that. And it doesn't even matter if you buy one or not, but everyone likes to sign their name in it. They write about you, right? You pass it around, and your buddies write in it, and maybe some other classmates write in it. But what are they writing? They're writing their memories of you. That's what they're writing. What do they remember about you? That's what they're writing, and you can't wait to get that yearbook back. What did they say about me? What did they say about me? There's a word for that. It's called your legacy. How are you going to be remembered? That's the word for that is called your legacy. And that's a good question. How do you want to be remembered? What do you want those people to say about you? I'm here tonight to show you that your legacy can be your suit of armor. Your legacy can be your suit of armor. And I'm only going to talk about 4 things tonight. And here's the best part. You don't have to learn anything. You already know these things. You already know them. I'm going to talk about 4 things that you can make into your legacy that will be your vehicle that will carry you through middle school, high school. That'll be your armor to protect you. There's a publication called Perspectives in Psychological Sciences. They conducted a study. They wanted to know, out of every successful person, doesn't matter what they were in, do they have one common trait? Doesn't matter if you're in business, if you're in sports, if you're in music, was there one trait that every successful person has? And yes, they did find it. Conscientiousness. That's a great big old long word. The inner sense of what is right or wrong, one's conduct or motives, impelling one towards right action. But let's break it down in really easy to understand terms. It's kind of like, you know, it's that little voice inside you that tells you what's right and what's wrong, and you know what to do. Some people call it a moral compass. But this is what every successful person has. Not business acumen, business knowledge, not greed, conscientiousness. It's called caring about what you do. And successful people have it. Let's look at just some really obvious people who are conscientious. We all know Dr. Martin Luther King. The tremendous impact he has had upon the history of our country and the world. In the 1950s and 60s, his civil rights movement obviously changed the past. Sometimes it seems like we're going backwards. But without his efforts, we would probably still be mired in civil unrest in this country. Sorry. Well, there's Dr. Martin Luther King. This is, sorry. This is Malala Yousafzai. She was a Pakistan young teenage girl. How many people have heard of her? Anybody? Okay. Malala Yousafzai. She was a young teenage girl in Pakistan who simply wanted to be educated. The Taliban in Pakistan have said that no, girls should not be educated. They should not be educated. She was such a vocal proponent of that that the Taliban became aware of her. And one day, when she was on the school bus, a Taliban soldier walked up and shot her in the face. She miraculously survived, healed, and has now become a worldwide supporter of women in education. She's won the Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts, and I just heard that the CEO of Apple Corporation is promised to give her $100 million to award for girls' scholarships in education. This is how one person, being conscientious, can have an amazing impact on the world. So, number one, conscientiousness. You all know that already. The second one, well, as I said, you can either be ordinary or you can choose to be extraordinary. What does extraordinary mean? It's beyond what is usual, ordinary, regular, or established. It's remarkable, exceptional. Don't you wish in your school yearbook people will be writing about what a remarkable and exceptional person you are? Wouldn't that be nice to read? It can be, if you choose to be extraordinary. And here's a merry-go-round. Everyone's been on one. That's where you start when you're a kid. You start on the merry-go-round because that's the ride for small kids. It's nice and safe. It starts in one place, doesn't get too jumpy, and you end up in the same place at the end. I understand, it's nice and safe. A lot of people's lives, though, kind of take the same route. They don't want to take the risk. They don't want anything to be too exciting. They want every day to be nice and safe. And so even if you're sometimes doing the little kid thing on the merry-go-round, some people eventually kind of make it their life, though. Now, a lot of people are more like this. The roller coaster, I'll call it. Now, the roller coaster, I don't really like the roller coaster, but I'm using it as an analogy. In other words, the roller coaster has greater risk. There's fear. Oh my goodness, it gets my heart going. It's got the greatest reward. It's got, when you finish on the roller coaster, boy, you know you've been on a ride. I bet a lot of you, your lives are like this. I'm in several clubs at school. I volunteer on the weekends. I'm in an organization outside of school. I'm in Boy Scouts. I'm in Girl Scouts. I play Little League. This. You're on the roller coaster. You've decided that, yeah, I'm going to live life. I'm going to be extraordinary. Now, when ordinary people do extraordinary things, to me, that is humanity at its finest. When ordinary people do extraordinary things, mankind at its finest. In 2013, in Boston, at the finish line of the Boston Marathon, 2 terrorists exploded homemade bombs. You remember that, I'm sure. Ordinary people stood up to do extraordinary things. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Just people sitting there watching step forward to take action. Not only, it united Boston. Boston became strong. That was their Boston Strong, because ordinary people did extraordinary things. Now you might be saying, well, okay, great. The next time there's an explosion, it'll be extraordinary for you. But you can do it in your everyday life. Here's just a person that said, he put these plastic sheets over the car window. He goes, "Hey, I didn't want your car to get wet. Have a nice day." This is Lady Gaga. She took a photo with and gave money to a homeless man. He said, "But I smell." She said, "Don't worry, I smell too." This guy, he left some lottery tickets on the gas pump. Good luck, random customers. See, they're not changing the world, but they're still being extraordinary in very simple, common sense, everyday ways. The bakery department at Pavilions in Santa Monica was closed. Cashier says, "No problem, I'll help you out." He pulls frosting from the register. No joke. Stood up for an innocent employee at Wendy's who was being bullied by a customer. She gave us free Frosties and chicken nuggets. This Marine found 4 baby rabbits stranded with a lifeless mother. Instead of leaving them to die, he took them in. He's been taking care of them until the rabbits can be released back into the wild. This picture shows the Marine feeding one of the babies with a dropper. Now, is this changing the world? Is this being, incredible? No. But it's still being extraordinary. This homeless man found a bunch of my wife's stolen property strewn all over downtown Tulsa. He took the time to gather it all up in the rain and call us for a retrieval. I just want to recognize him as an awesome human being, a homeless man. This guy just rollerbladed up to the fountain with an injured seagull and held it while it drank from the fountain. This man, he gave his mail lady, the lady delivers his mail, just a little treat in the mailbox. And it's hard to read, but she just wanted to thank him for being such a wonderful person that made her day. This is my favorite. My friend won this bike at the state fair and gave it to this kid. Best face ever. After seeing an elderly gentleman walking in the rain, a Wendy's employee removed an umbrella from a table outside and ran to his side to protect him. There's a kid at my school that makes people free sandwiches if they have nothing to eat for that day. That's extraordinary. And were conscientious? The people in there. Do you think they were fairly extraordinary? I think so. Now I want to talk about a former student of mine when I was at Chula Vista High School. Her name was Vanessa Wolfblack, and she was an incredible athlete. In fact, she's still playing college basketball right here in San Diego. But she was a much better person even than being an athlete, because I felt like she was extraordinary to the point where she was affecting the adults and every single person on that campus. Not only did she was in my ASB, not only did she do her job extremely well, she was so incredibly supportive of everybody else in that whole ASB. If she saw someone was struggling, she would always say this: "You got this, you got this." And it just became infectious, among all of us. And if she saw that a person was still having trouble, then she would go in and help. She goes, "Don't worry, we got this, we got this." And that was our slogan for our ASB for years because of her. One extraordinary student influenced not only the ASB, but the whole school. So I wanted to give her a little tribute. I said, so we put this up on the wall of the ASB. You got this. You've got this. Vanessa Wolfblack. We've got this, and here's what I wanted to show you. Have you seen that when college football teams, when they enter the stadium, a lot of them will have some sort of a slogan or something on somewhere in their stadium, and they'll all touch it. It's like a unanimous decision. We're going to touch our slogan. Notre Dame has it. Clemson has it. Michigan has it. They all touch it. They're in union. So this was my way of showing. And sorry. We're not going to get that one, I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. We were on our way out to do an assembly, big thing for us. So that was our way of honoring Anessa. Russell Wilson, he's the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. A great person, great performer. Here's what Russell says.
There will always be things in the way you dream. There's no time or no chance. No this, no that, no the other. There are a million no's, but all you need is one yes. Yes, I'm gonna make it happen. Put in the work, the hours to sweat and protect it. See, dreams don't come true. Dreams are made true.
So I'm talking about two things: conscientiousness and being extraordinary. And here's the part where it's going to get hard, though, because you go, okay, I got it, Mr. Tanner. Here's the hard part, though. You're going to have failures. You're going to make mistakes. It's not always going to be success for you. In other words, what I'm outlining here is I'm saying there's going to be bumps on the way. It's not always going to be easy. You're going to have difficulties and setbacks. So here's the third one tonight. Perseverance. Perseverance, another long word. Let's figure out what it means, though. Steady persistence in a course of action, especially in spite of difficulties, obstacles, or discouragement. Perseverance. It means not quitting, not giving up, even when it gets hard. Our superintendent is here tonight. Dr. Janney, can you relate? She is a great example of perseverance. Let's think of some people that have persevered. This is Thomas Edison. Now we know he invented the light bulb, but he obviously did so much more than that. But it's said that he failed 50 times before he finally developed a light bulb. He failed 50 times first, though. He said, our greatest weakness lies in giving in. Our greatest weakness lies in giving in. I think we can all recognize this man here, recognized as being one of our greatest presidents. Did you know, before he was elected president, he lost 6 times running for office? 6 times. You think about, would you have that much perseverance after the 2nd time, the 3rd time, the 4th time? 6 times. He said, I don't care if you've fallen down. I just care if you get back up. We all fall down. It's getting back up that matters. Winston Churchill. He was the Prime Minister of England during the Second World War. In fact, there's a great big movie out about him now. I even heard the commercial on the radio for the movie where he just says, never quit, never quit, never, never, never quit. At the beginning of the war, England was losing badly. We all know that with his example, finally, Germany was defeated in the Second World War. He said, when you're going through horrible times, keep going. And actually, he didn't use the word horrible times. He used another word, but I'm being nice and politically correct tonight. This is Rosa Parks. She, along with Martin Luther King, were like the figureheads during the Civil Rights Movement. This is her arrest picture. And I bet a lot of you know her story. Why was she arrested? Anybody know? It's because she was sitting on a public bus, and in the law in the South said, whites sat at the front, blacks sat at the back of the bus. And if the white section was full, then a black person would have to get up to make room for that white person. She said, not today. Not today. Go ahead and arrest me. She wanted to bring this to light, to finally bring it to light. And she, again, was a figurehead for the whole civil rights movement with Dr. Martin Luther King. And if you know the marches that they went on, they were harassed, they were humiliated, some were injured, some people died. She never, ever quit. And people asked her, don't you ever get tired of all this danger and harassment? Her answer was, the only tired I was tired of giving in. This is J.K. Rowling. She is the author of Harry Potter's book. She took her first book to 12 different publishers and was turned down 12 times. On the 13th try, the lucky 13th try, she was accepted. And I guess you know what the rest is history here. She is the 2nd richest woman in England. That's perseverance. In the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City, there was an athlete from Tanzania called John Stephen Akwari. He was running the marathon. You know the marathon, 26.2 miles. About halfway through the marathon, he gets in a collision with other runners and falls and injures his knee real badly. Let's see if he...
This is the final award ceremony in track and field at the Mexico City Olympics. And to but 3 men go the rewards. And so for them, the long ordeal is over. But what about the others? For some, the reward is a personal one, the knowledge that they finished what they set out to do. A little over an hour after Mama Wolde crosses the finish line, John Stephen Akwari of Tanzania approaches the stadium, the last man to complete the journey. A voice calls from within to go on, and so he goes on. Afterwards it was written, "Today we have seen a young African runner who symbolizes the finest in the human spirit. A performance that gives true dignity to sport. A performance that lifts sport out of the category of grown men playing at games. A performance that gives meaning to the word courage. All honor to John Stephen Akwari of Tanzania." Perhaps the words of John Stephen Akwari epitomize all that is right in the human spirit. When asked why he did not quit, he said simply, "My country did not send me 5,000 miles to start the race. They sent me 5,000 miles to finish the race."
So there was no really honor, no glory for John Stephen Akwari. No trophy for him there. What was he gaining from that? What was he gaining from that? His sense of perseverance was that is what was important to him. He had to know that he didn't quit. And I do use athletic analogies because I think that they're very easy to relate to. This is Derek Redmond in the 1992 Olympics. Sorry. Scarsa? She has the magic touch.
Derek Redmond, the best form he's shown since he broke the British record.
He was in great shape, you know, he had a chance, possibility of maybe getting a medal there.
Cuban Hernandez has got Redmond to aim at, and so too in lane number 3 is Steve Lewis, but Redmond's got off very fast indeed, and so too is Ismail of Qatar. Down the back straight, he's the fractional leader. Father of Nigeria has gone very quickly, and Redmond has broken down. He's on the track, kneeling down, and Derek Redmond, on his injury problem, the jinx has struck again.
Running down the back straight, I heard a funny clap or a pop, and I honestly, for a split second, thought I'd been shot. And then obviously I realised I've pulled a hamstring. And then when the pain sort of died down, I remembered where I was and what I was doing, and I remember thinking, quick, you're in the Olympic semi-finals, you're Pratt, get up and start running. And I got to the 200-metre mark after hobbling 50 metres and looked across, and all the guys had finished, and it pretty much hit me that, you know, it ain't going to happen, it's all over.
I would have laid there. You know, to be honest, there's no way I would have got up, because hamstring, when you got a hamstring, you know you got a hamstring.
He just wants to finish. His dad's trying to run onto the track to stop him. He's going to tell him, Derek, don't.
The old man went to put his arms around me, and I was just about to try and push him off because I thought it was someone else. I didn't see him, he sort of jogged from behind. And he said, look, you don't need to do this, you can stop now, you haven't got nothing to prove. And I said, oh, I have, get me back into lane 5, I want to finish.
Now in the greatest arena in sport, he's getting the chair of the games.
I would never have wanted to be in Derek's shoe at that time. It was a sad moment. It was a great moment, in the sport, to be honest.
It's just a figure, a picture that just stays in your mind forever because you don't want to see any athlete having to go through that. You just knew how destroyed he was and just how much that race meant to him.
Perseverance. Again, not to win any trophies, but to prove to himself he didn't quit. So I've talked about 3 things now: conscientiousness, being extraordinary, and perseverance. And like I said, if you're a middle school student, I'm going to provide you with a vehicle that'll get you through middle school. If you load your vehicle up with conscientiousness, being extraordinary, and persevering, you're saying, okay, Mr. Tanner, okay, I can do that. And you're sitting in your vehicle, and you're going, Mr. Tanner, there's something wrong, because the vehicle's not moving. I'm not moving anywhere. And that's where it gets to the 4th point. But here's where I can't help you, because the 4th point is you're the one that has to turn the key in that car. You've got to make the decision, the choice, that you're going to be extraordinary. It can't be trained. It's not something you can be born with. It's a choice. You have to flip the switch. Just like this great big old switch I have over here that someone's going to flip in a second. That switch is what will let your vehicle move. And that's courage. The quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face difficulty, danger, or obstacles without fear. Now, don't confuse this with oh yeah, I've seen those movies where soldiers, the great, running up a hill and he takes out. Courage is simply the choice that you make that you will do the right thing, that you will be extraordinary. Courage isn't always a roar. Sometimes it's just a little quiet voice at the end of the day that says, I'm going to try again tomorrow. So courage and perseverance kind of are very, very similar. Here's a person that I'm going to brag a little bit. He was also a student of mine. Let's see how he defines courage. Would I have been fearless if I could do it again? No, I wouldn't be fearless, but I would try to fear less. Fear is the thing that keeps you from living true to who you really are. Advice to self: fear not what others think of you. Fear not bad outcomes. Move forward in life with courage. That's a Chula Vista High School graduate, class of 1991. Mario Lopez. And it doesn't matter if you're a fan of Mario's or not, but here's what he's trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, no one's saying you're going to go right from the merry-go-round to the roller coaster. We all know there's all kinds of places in between there, but you can move that direction. Start with your family, start with your friends, start with what you're comfortable, but take the courage to be conscientious, to persevere, to be extraordinary. And now, I just have one more example to show you. This girl was a high school student, a senior, and a great basketball player. She was going to play in college. About midway through her senior year, she starts to get intense headaches. And the tingling is starting to take away from her physical ability. And she gets concerned, and with good reason. She gets diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. Inoperable, meaning she can't be cured. It's going to kill her. She still wants to carry on and play in college basketball. So I'm going to introduce to you Lauren Hill. has the magic touch.
Finally tonight, every basketball player is up against the clock, but none more so than the brave young woman, our Steve Hartman, and thousands of others watched in action.
See, don't see all four.
Hill and her Mount St. Joe Lions.
A few hours ago, here in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Mount St. Joseph University women's basketball team took to the floor in their season opener. All eyes on a starting forward, who may just be the most devoted player this game has ever seen.
Number 22,
19-year-old freshman Lauren Hill was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer about a year ago. And from that moment to this, her main goal has been to play in just one college basketball game.
I wanted to wear those shoes and wear that jersey and feel like a superhero again, because that's what I feel when I put on the jersey and that number.
For weeks, Lauren has been waiting for and working for that first game. Since practice began last month, she's been training with her team, getting up at 5:30 a.m., fighting back unimaginable headaches in utter defiance of her cancer.
When I'm not there, I feel like I'm letting people down.
Lauren has weeks to live at best, and here she is worried about letting other people down.
Why does that matter so much to you?
Because I love them. They're like my family. And they keep me going. They're what makes me positive.
But it took more than will to get Lauren to this moment. Because time was so short, the NCAA allowed Mount St. Joseph to move their season opener up 2 weeks. They also had to change the venue to accommodate all the people who wanted to support Lauren. This arena seats 10,000, and it's sold out.
Just checking into the game was accomplishment enough, but Coach Dan Benjamin didn't want to stop there. He had a special play design. If Mount St. Joe got the tip, they would try to double down on Lauren's dream. And as fate would have it, they got the tip.
And Lauren sets high. The screen comes, the ball goes down to Lauren Hill, and the layup just goes. A layup for Lauren.
And with that, Lauren Hill checked out of the game, perfect from the field, and a perfect example for any athlete who wants to go out on top.
Today's been the best day I've ever had.
Steve Hartman, CBS News, in Cincinnati.
That is the CBS Evening News tonight, later on CBS 60 Minutes, and first thing tomorrow, CBS This Morning. I'm Jeff Glore, CBS News in New York. Scott Pelley will be here tomorrow. Good night.
Did you see a young lady of courage? A young lady of perseverance? Well, what effect did she have? I saw 10,000 extraordinary people. I saw 10,000 conscientious people. That's the power you can have. When you decide to be extraordinary, when you make that choice, that's the path to being extraordinary. And I want to stand up here for 1 second and try to tell you that I'm extraordinary, because I'm on the path too. But I can recognize that these things for a struggling middle schooler can get them out of that struggle, can relieve that struggle. When you choose to be extraordinary, conscientiousness, being extraordinary, persevering when it gets tough, and the courage to make it all happen, that's being extraordinary. And now, I've just got a little prop up here. And I would love to give a shirt away. It says, I am extraordinary. If I just have one of our young people here flip this switch saying, I've got the courage to do that, Mr. Tanner. Any of our young people today? Yes, sir. Come on up here. He's going to take us on that roller coaster. If I get his shirt on, that's all we're going to do. Roller coaster time.